The story starts by explaining how the world began. It was a dark and stormy place, until a goddess brought light and created a continent for 9 different races. There are dragonauts, elves, anifolk, dwarves, demonkin, dark elves, centaurs, beastfolk, and of course, humans. We meet our main character, a human boy named Light, who is saying goodbye to his family, his mom, dad, Else, and Yume. He promises them that he's going to become a great adventurer and make enough money so they can all live comfortably. He sets off on his journey, a little unsure of the way but full of hope. His optimism is quickly challenged when he bumps into some other adventurers who shove him aside, calling him a pipsqueak and telling him humans should stay out of the way. Light just apologizes and moves on. He gets to the Adventurers Guild and waits in line. When it's his turn, the receptionist greets him and asks for his name. He tells her it's Light and confirms that he's a first-time registrant. She informs him that he'll start at F rank and asks if he has a special ability, a gift. Light proudly says he does and tells her it's called Unlimited Gacha. The receptionist is confused and asks him to explain what that means. So, Light decides to show her. He activates his gacha, pulls a card, and shouts, "Release." But what comes out is just junk. He tries again and again, but all he gets is a bent fork, a rotten apple, and some moldy bread. He insists that it's usually not this bad, but the receptionist is not impressed and confirms that F rank is definitely the right place for him. Light then asks if there are any jobs he can do right away. The receptionist points him to a bulletin board with the easiest jobs, but then asks if he has trouble reading. Light admits he does, and she sighs, mentioning the low literacy rate among humans. She offers him some menial labor instead: firewood gathering, soil hauling, and turf cutting. The pay is terrible, but Light is just happy to have work and eagerly accepts. After working his butt off all day, he barely earns enough money for a place to stay. He hopes he can at least pull something edible from his gacha for dinner. As he's walking, he accidentally bumps into some rough-looking guys. He apologizes, but they get angry, claiming he got their clothes dirty and demanding he pay for it. They see his small coin pouch and snatch it, saying it's just enough to cover their laundry bill. Light begs them to give it back, explaining that it's all he has to pay for a room for the night. They just laugh at him, saying the money is better off in their hands and that he'd be lucky to rent a pigsty with that little cash. They tell him to go sleep in the dump with the rest of the human trash and walk off to get drinks. Just then, a beautiful elf woman approaches and asks if he's okay. She kneels down to help him, but this causes a scene. Other people passing by are disgusted to see an elf getting close to a human. The elf, whose name is Sasha, doesn't care. She's joined by her party, the Concord of Tribes. A beastfolk named Garu explains that their party represents all 9 races created by the goddess, and they formed it to pursue a noble cause, to end racial discrimination and create a fair world for everyone. The party includes Drago the Dragonaut, Diablo the Demonkin, Oboro the Onifolk, Nano the Dwarf, Siona the Dark Elf, and Santor the Centaur. Garu tells Light that all they need to complete their party of 9 is a human. They ask him to join them, and Light, who has just been treated like garbage for being human, is overjoyed at the idea of a world with no discrimination. He can't believe they actually need him, and he happily accepts their offer to join the Concord of Tribes. The story then jumps forward in time. Light is with his party in the Abyss, the largest and toughest dungeon in the world. He's not very strong and almost gets killed by a monster, but Sasha saves him at the last second. She scolds him for being careless, telling him he'll die instantly if he gets hit by anything in there. The other party members tease her for coddling Light, saying she can't help but blush around him. Sasha gets flustered and denies it, claiming she's just worried about the party's reputation. The others don't buy it, but let it go. They tell Light not to worry and that he's already doing enough just by making tea for them. They continue deeper into the dungeon until they find a good spot to rest. Light immediately offers to get the tea ready, but as he's about to, Drago stops him. He coldly tells Light that tea won't be necessary because he is being banished from the party. Light is completely stunned and doesn't understand. The others join in, calling him a useless and stupid kid. They start insulting him, saying humans reek and that they can finally be rid of him. Light is heartbroken and asks why they're doing this after being so nice to him. Garu cruelly informs him that they were faking it the whole time. They explain that their superiors suspected his unlimited gacha gift might mean he was a legendary figure called a maestro. The Concord of Tribes was formed specifically to recruit him and keep an eye on him. However, his gift turned out to be trash and his stats are pathetic, so their bosses concluded he can't be the maestro. Now that he's of no use to them, he's just dead weight. Sasha even expresses her relief, saying she was disgusted by the thought of having to marry an inferior human if he had turned out to be the maestro. The truth is even worse. They reveal that their orders are to kill him to tie up loose ends. They plan to make it look like he was killed in a surprise monster attack. Then, they begin to attack him. They laugh and mock him as they slash and shoot him with arrows, enjoying his cries of pain. Drago tells them to stop before they leave too many wounds that contradict their cover story. He approaches a bleeding and terrified Light and tells him he'll do him a solid and kill him quickly. Light, in utter despair, screams that he doesn't want to die. He wants to live. In that moment of pure desperation, he accidentally steps on a hidden teleportation trap and vanishes in a flash of light. He reappears somewhere else, deep within the abyss, but he's alive. The shock and pain of the betrayal wash over him. He realizes all their kindness was a lie, a trick to lure him into the dungeon to be killed. His grief turns into a burning rage. He swears he will survive and make them all pay for what they did. Just as he makes this vow, a colossal monster, level 1000, appears before him. He knows he's dead. With no other option, he desperately uses his unlimited gacha. A brilliant light erupts, and a woman in a maid outfit materializes. She effortlessly kills the monster in a single blow. She then turns to Light, apologizes for her forwardness, and completely heals his wounds. She introduces herself as May, the ever-seeking maid, a level 9999 super ultra rare card he just pulled. Light is in disbelief. May asks for permission to use her appraisal skill on his gift. She discovers that his unlimited gacha's true abilities are hidden by a powerful concealment spell. She explains that the gacha's results depend on the surrounding mana density. On the surface, where mana is weak, he only gets junk. But here, in the depths of the abyss where mana is abundant, he can pull incredibly rare cards like her. She congratulates him on his bravery for coming down so deep to unlock his power. Light bitterly tells her the truth, that he was betrayed and left for dead. He pours out all his anger and pain. May listens, and then offers to hunt down his former comrades and bring him their heads on pikes. Light stops her. He realizes he was betrayed because he was weak. He declares that he will become strong and get his revenge with his own two hands. He will make them all suffer personally. May is deeply moved by his resolve and pledges her absolute loyalty to him. She promises to support him in his quest for vengeance. With a new powerful ally by his side and a true understanding of his incredible power, Light stands in the depths of the abyss. He begins to roll his unlimited gacha again, ready to build a force strong enough to pave his path to revenge. His grand tale of vengeance has just begun. The story jumps forward 3 years, and Light is now the established master of a thriving community in the deepest part of the abyss. His people, including a group of adoring fairy maids, greet him with cheers and praise. One maid gets a little too enthusiastic, saying she wants to get a good whiff of his feet, which earns her a perv alert from her friends. The head maid, May, asks Light for permission to silence the blabbering maids, but Light is cool with it, saying they're just smitten with him. As he walks through his domain, his subjects offer him new dishes and report on logistical issues like running low on snacks. Light promises to have it sorted out, thinking to himself that with the population boom over the last 3 years, the entire supply system might need an overhaul. He asks about the other members of his quartet, and it's revealed that Awoke is scouting and mapping the forests on the surface, which is no problem for a genius tamer like her. Light isn't worried about her cat-like fickleness, saying he wouldn't have her any other way. He then asks about Ellie, who is busy developing new magic for his grand plan of revenge. He hopes she isn't getting overwhelmed, but he's assured she relishes her service to him. As for Nizuna, she's on patrol as usual, and while she's an expert at close combat, she's not exactly the sharpest tool in the shed. But Light appreciates her because she makes things fun. Meanwhile, Light goes to train with a man named Jack, who he treats like an older brother. Jack tells him the gloves are off today, and they begin a sparring session. Light throws a punch so powerful that Jack, the iron-blooded barricade, says it would have killed anyone else. Elsewhere, Nizuna is happily patrolling the castle grounds, proud of her important job for Master Light. The other residents cheer her on, calling her queen and saying how safe they feel with her around. A few maids then approach her with a special request, telling her there's a very important top-secret spot they need her to check out, a place that's off-limits to them. Nazuna, being simple, agrees and heads off, which leads her straight to Master Light's bedroom. She runs into Mei, who is tidying up the room while Light is away. Nazuna asks what she's doing, and Mei claims she's just cleaning because a maid can never be idle. Nazuna, however, notices the bed looks like someone was just rolling around sniffing the pillows. Mei quickly covers, calling it her unique bed-making style, a trade secret. Nazuna is completely fooled and amazed by Mei's special housekeeping skill, thinking to herself that Mei really is the foremost summon. Mei is just relieved that Nazuna has no brain cells. Nazuna then remembers she has messages for Mei from the other maids. She reads them out loud. "Down with you and your monopoly on Master Light's room. We demand you give everybody the right to clean his quarters. Vote yeses on removing the tyrannical head maid," and a bunch of "get wrecked." Nazuna is confused by the last one, wondering if it's some kind of ailment magic. Mei tells her not to worry about it and that she'll handle the maid's problems herself. As thanks, Mei gives Nazuna a tip, which makes Nazuna incredibly happy as she runs off to spend her new money. Nazuna immediately goes to a shop and buys her favorite snack, dorayaki, and some milk. On her way out, she spots Awoke. She asks Awoke what she's doing back from her scouting mission on the surface already. Awoke just responds with "Mew," and Nazuna can't understand her like Light can. Nazuna tries to guess what's wrong, offering to cut down trees or fight strong monsters for her. She tells Awoke that even though Awoke was summoned first, Nazuna is older and stronger, so she can depend on her. Awoke finally speaks, stating that she encountered no threats and just came back to deliver a finished map to Mei. Nazuna calls her a weirdo for not just saying so and runs off to continue her patrol. Later, Mei confronts the 4 fairy maids who sent the messages. She reads their demands back to them, including the "get wrecked" part. The maids get flustered and try to explain, saying they just wanted to lighten her load as a unique way of showing support. Mei doesn't buy it, especially since they used Nazuna to deliver the message instead of facing her directly. She rejects their demands and punishes them by making them clean the entire long hallway to the throne room by hand. The maids are horrified by the impossible task. Elsewhere, Nazuna runs into Ellie. They immediately start bickering, with Ellie calling Nazuna a dimwit. Nazuna tries to prove she's smart by reciting her times tables but fails spectacularly. Ellie mocks her, saying her stupidity knows no bounds, and boasts that Master Light has made her a fundamental part of his revenge plans, unlike Nazuna with her tiny brain. Ellie brags about having tea with Light to discuss plans and hints at future private dinners with nocturnal entertainment. Nazuna gets jealous and whines that she wants to have tea with Master Light too. Ellie is surprised she only focuses on the tea part, calling her dumb and childish. Nazuna, not getting the hint, just offers to help Ellie with close quarters combat since she knows Ellie sucks at it. The punished maids are scrubbing the floor, complaining about Mei's unfairness and her monopoly on Master Light's room. They start fantasizing about sniffing his sheets and licking his used utensils. Their jealousy grows as they talk about how Mei was Light's first summon and spent 3 months alone with him in the dungeon when he was at a low level. Their envy turns into a rage, and they start chanting a curse for Mei to die. Just then, Mei appears behind them, having heard everything. She reveals she was on her way to the surface for a mission. The maids immediately switch to groveling, declaring their undying loyalty. Mei tells them that during those first 3 months, Light was constantly busy reading and training, so none of their vulgar fantasies ever happened. She says she was actually feeling bad and thought her punishment was too harsh, but after hearing them curse her, she realizes she was mistaken. She adds the throne room to their cleaning duties, also to be done by hand, and tells them the way of the maid begins with a single step, just like the climb to level 500 begins with effort. That night, Nazuna finishes her patrol, a little sad she didn't get to see Light all day, and wishes him a good night. The next morning, Nazuna, Ellie, and Awoke are all together when Light appears, saying he figured they'd be there. Nazuna is overjoyed that her wish to see him came true. Light starts petting Awoke like a cat, which annoys Ellie, who tells him to join her in her bedroom instead. Nazuna tells Awoke to back off, and Light gently pushes Awoke away, saying it's time to get down to business. He mentions that even seeing a hellhound gives him trauma from that day, which triggers his summons. Nazuna, Ellie, and Awoke all declare that the Hellhound breed has no right to live and prepare to use their level 9999 power to eradicate the entire species from existence. Light has to calm them down, saying he's alright now and that he knows they'd actually do it if he gave the order, even jokingly. He then reveals why he gathered them. He just got word from May that their prey has taken the bait. It's time to put the plan in motion. It's time to kick some ass. He's counting on all of them to serve his first dish of revenge, 3 years in the making. The scene then shifts to the Beastfolk Federation in the City of Wolves, where a man named Sir Garou walks through the streets as people cheer for him. Sir Garou walks through the City of Wolves like a megastar, with Beastfolk peons singing his praises and fawning over him. He's the idol of the lowborn, a slum orphan who is about to become the leader of the wolf tribe. He and his crew head to a tavern to celebrate, ordering the best booze and stuffing their faces. His followers are in awe, sitting next to the de facto #1 of their tribe. They ask him how he got so strong, and Garou explains it's all about using the instinctual perception beastfolk are born with. He boasts that his is a cut above the rest, especially his sense of smell, which lets him sniff out the good jobs from the bad ones. That's how he hit the big time. One of his lackeys brings up the job from 3 years ago, the one for the Concord of Tribes, but gets shushed by another who reminds him it was a top-secret covert op. Garou plays it cool, saying the Federation demands his secrecy, but internally, he's laughing about how easy it was. All he had to do was kill one pathetic human kid they suspected might be a maestro, and now he's rich and famous. He admits it bothered him a little that they never found the kid's body after he got teleported, but he's sure there's no way the kid survived. He's still curious about what a maestro is, but decides not to dig any deeper because it seems risky. As he calls for another round, his party is interrupted by a mysterious song. A woman appears and introduces herself as May, the most loyal maid in service to Master Light. Garou is shocked to hear that name. May explains she's been searching for Light and recently learned he perished in the abyss. She claims Light is a key figure of noble descent, which makes Garou's ears perk up. He thinks it's bullshit since the kid never mentioned being a noble, but on the off chance it's true, he smells a massive payday. May asks him to escort her to the place where Light was last seen, offering a bag full of pure gold as payment. Seeing the money, Garou immediately agrees. He puts on a show, claiming Light was like a brother to him and that he owes it to his best bud to help. He promises to gather his most elite men and escort her safely through the abyss. But in his mind, he's already planning to ravish her on top of Light's grave after taking all her cash. They journey deep into the dungeon, and once they arrive at the spot, May asks if this is where Master Light died. Garou spins a tale about how a pack of monsters got the drop on them, and Light was tragically caught in a teleport trap. His men have already blocked the only escape route, thinking the human woman is a complete idiot. Garou continues his act, saying his heart bleeds for his failure to protect Light. But then May starts talking. She laments how her master was brought to this grimy dungeon only to be betrayed by vile scum and beaten within an inch of his life. She says if only she'd entered his service earlier, he never would have suffered the pain of being kicked and shot with arrows. Garou freezes. He's horrified because she knows the exact details of what happened, details known only to the members of the Concord of Tribes and a few high-level executives. He drops the act and demands to know who she is and who she works for, accusing her of being a spy. May's demeanor changes completely, her aura turning menacing as she tells him they'll find out who is truly rotten after his guts are on the floor. Garou is terrified, unable to understand why he's so scared of a single human. Just then, a voice tells May to settle down because Garou belongs to him. Light appears, looking exactly the same as he did 3 years ago. Garou can't believe it. He calls Light a little bastard and demands to know how he's still alive. Light just smirks and says he's here to get payback with 3 years of interest. Garou quickly regains his composure. He laughs, pointing out that Light is a puny level 15 human while he's a level 150 badass. He figures Light only survived because this creepy maid saved his hide. He declares that Light made a huge mistake showing his face, because now he can kill him for real and bring the body back to become king of the beastfolk. Light asks if he isn't curious how he's alive or who May is, but Garou doesn't care. He has a pack of beastfolk who are all over level 130 and is confident they'll steamroll 2 humans. He orders his men to tear Light to shreds, but as 2 of them charge, May moves in a blur and their heads go flying. She then moves to block the exit, swearing on the maid's code that none shall escape. Garou is stunned but dismisses it as a cheap sneak attack. He still clings to his belief that humans are inferior. Light mockingly asks if he's ever considered that maybe the beast folk are the weaker ones. Enraged, Garou shouts that humans are feeble losers. Another of his men charges Light, but Light dodges and effortlessly kills him, still wearing a smug look. Garou completely loses it and summons his ace in the hole, a level 500 Magibeast Fenrir. He tells Light to beg for his life just like he did 3 years ago. Light just looks bored and says a level 500 monster is pitifully weak. He tells Garou to bring it, promising not to move an inch. Garou orders the Fenrir to unleash its blazing Magibeast Howl, a blast containing the entire mana pool of a level 500 monster. The attack kicks up a huge cloud of dust, but when it clears, Light is standing there completely unharmed. He mocks Garou's fancy attack name and says it's his turn now. Light declares he'll show him the real deal and summons his own monster, a level 9000 ultra-rare primal god wolf Fenrir. His Fenrir kills Garou's mutt in the blink of an eye. Garou is in utter disbelief. Light then shows him his own stats, revealing his impossibly high level for a human. Garou's mind shatters. He notices Light hasn't aged a day and stammers that he must be an imposter. But Light explains he wears a bracelet of youth to stop himself from aging, ensuring the pain and anger from that day always stay fresh in his mind. The realization hits Garou. This is the real Light, and he's a monster. Terrified for his life, Garou drops to his knees and begs for forgiveness, blaming the Federation and his own men for the entire scheme. Light ignores his pathetic groveling and asks him what he knows about the Maestro. Garou knows nothing. Light then asks for a reading from Garou's famed instinctual perception. If he were to wage war on the surface world, could he win? Garou, seeing May's eye of truth, tells him honestly that while Light's power is immense, the combined nations of the world would eventually stockpile enough weapons and items to overwhelm a single person. Light says that's what he figured. He then teleports Garou and his remaining men away. They find themselves in a massive underground cavern, surrounded by a colossal army of powerful beings. Light tells them to rise and display their stats. Garou sees an army of impossibly high-level monsters and followers that Light has amassed over 3 years. Light asks him again if he stands a chance of winning a war. Garou's face is a mask of pure terror. Light tells him he's earned his reward, a fate of pain and despair far worse than death. Garou realizes with horror that they gave birth to this monstrosity, a lord of destruction who could end the world. He asks if Light is trying to become a god. Light says he likes the sound of that. He declares that someone is hiding the truth about the Maestro from him, and whether he becomes a benevolent god or a satanic monarch depends on the answers he finds. With his gift, he can either grant blessings or drown the world in despair. Now, he will begin his march from the abyss to the surface, out of the darkness and into the light. Light is finishing up a monologue to his lost family, Dad, Mom, his brother Els, and Yumi, swearing that after being stuck in the abyss for 2.5 years, he found his village destroyed by unknown attackers. He tells them his only hope is that since they never found his siblings' bodies, they might still be alive. His moment of mourning is interrupted by Gold, who asks if he's done so they can get a move on because he doesn't want to camp out on their first day. Nemamu immediately gets furious at Gold for speaking to Lord Light so casually while he's grieving and demands he shows some respect. Gold just finds her annoying, and Nemamu explains to her that being too polite feels formal and lacks intimacy. Besides, he points out she probably doesn't want to sleep in the wild either. But Nemamu declares that she's not like him and would happily sleep on grass or in mud as long as she's with Lord Light. She goes on a whole chivalric spiel about following him to ice-clad mountains and across lakes of magma, calling it the oath of an Auric knight. Gold dryly remarks that, all the same, he'd rather not sleep under the stars for their lord's sake because it's not comfortable, which Nemamu reluctantly agrees with. Light steps in, telling them they'll worry about accommodations later and that their first priority is gathering intel. He knows their forces are strong enough to take on the world, but starting an all-out war right away would be too hasty. They need to understand the strength of the various nations first. Light also adds that the raid on his village was connected to him being a potential master, and he needs to find out why that made them go so far. He vows that if the world is truly rooted in evil, he'll burn it all down in hellfire. Gold warns him to keep that bloodlust in check when they're in town, otherwise people will die. Light apologizes and agrees to be careful, then removes his fool's mask. As they start their journey, Light decides his first step is to raise his rank as an adventurer under the name Dark, to avoid being noticed by the Concord. The higher his rank, the better the information he can access. His companions, Nemumu and Gold, readily agree. As they approach the town of Dagus, Light decides they should walk the rest of the way instead of flying in, though Gold points out he'll stick out no matter what. Their walk is interrupted by a commotion where some dwarves are robbing a human woman and her child. Light sends Gold to deal with it, and he easily dispatches the bandits, much to the awe of the mother and child who have never seen a human beat a dwarf before. The child calls Gold a shiny mister and thinks he's amazing, but Nemumu proudly states that Lord Dark is even more amazing. The woman they saved, who runs an inn for humans in Dagus, offers to take them the rest of the way. She explains that Dagus is a bustling adventurer town on the border of the Dwarf Kingdom, Human Kingdom, and Elven Queendom. It's popular because of its high-quality dungeon, especially among humans. Once they reach the town outskirts, she introduces herself as Colonel and invites them to stay at her inn. She wonders aloud if they've ever seen such strong newbies before, but Gold tells her to keep a low profile. Inside the town, Nemumu and Gold are amazed by their first surface town, which is filled with weapon shops. They head to the guild and find it's packed with human adventurers, who all seem intimidated by the dwarf staff. Light goes to register, but Nemumu causes a scene, yelling that there's no way Lord Dark could be F rank. She insists he should be A rank or even S rank, to which Gold mutters that she's making him sound like a sadist. Light apologizes for her rudeness and calmly accepts the F rank registration. Afterward, they go to Colonel's inn, where her daughter excitedly greets them. Light takes Colonel up on her offer and makes a few selfish requests. He wants to rent the entire top floor for a month, and no one, not even staff, is allowed up there. He offers a huge sum of money for the rent. Colonel tries to refuse payment from the people who saved her, but Light insists it's his final request, so she accepts. In their private room, Light sets up magical security wards against surveillance and eavesdropping. Nemumu then questions his plan, asking why he doesn't just issue commands from the safety of the abyss. Light gets angry, asking if she intends to deny him his personal revenge. Nemumu immediately panics and begs for forgiveness for speaking out of turn. Gold explains to her that sometimes a guy just has to handle things himself. Danger be damned. Light apologizes for getting emotional, realizing she was just concerned for him. To show her devotion, Nemumu asks to renew her vow of loyalty by kissing his foot, an act of subordination that many of his summons request, but which still makes him uncomfortable. Gold mockingly asks if it's some kind of fetish play, which sends Nemumu into a rage, denying that her noble devotion is anything vulgar. The next day, they head to the dungeon entrance, which is crowded with people. Light notes that his mask is fine, but Nemumu's looks and Gold's shiny armor are making them stand out way too much. The line to get in is long, and they notice there are no elves around, likely due to the ongoing dispute between the Dwarf Kingdom and Elven Queendom over the dungeon. While they wait, Nemumu stands guard behind Light to protect his rear. Suddenly, 3 hooded individuals cut the queue. Based on their movements, Light deduces that the one in front is pretty tough. Other adventurers are too scared to say anything, but Light confronts them, telling them there's no cutting in line. The leader arrogantly asks if he knows who he's talking to. Light coolly replies that he can't, since their faces are hidden, and adds that someone of high status shouldn't do things that would sully their name. Nemumu and Gold back him up, telling them to get to the back of the line. The leader calls them inferior insects and is about to escalate things, but his companion calms him down, reminding him it's not wise to make a scene or use that here. They leave, promising it's not over. The other adventurers praise Light for standing up to the bullies. A friendly party, led by a guy they call Big Brother, thanks him. One of his party members, Gimra, asks if Gold's armor is made of real gold. Gold starts to boast about his noble spirit, but Light cuts him off, explaining it's just painted gold since real gold is too soft for armor. The friendly adventurers give them a useful tip. The dungeon levels are huge, so parties usually camp inside, which is why they're all carrying supplies. Light's group realizes they look out of place with no gear, having forgotten that they can't just rely on their item boxes for appearances. After the friendly party goes in, Light's group enters the dungeon. He's curious about its secrets, which even his powerful subordinate Ellie couldn't figure out. As soon as they're alone, Light activates his powers, SSR Clairvoyance to find the exit, SSR Conceal to hide their presence, and SSR Flight to take the shortest route. They fly through the massive first level, feeling like the whole process is a bit too easy. Meanwhile, the arrogant hooded figure, an elf named Kaido, is raging on the 3rd floor. He's a supposed hero from the elite White Knights, with the blood of a master, and he's furious that the garbage insects in the queue made a fool of him. His real frustration is that his level seems to be capped at 1500, and he's desperately trying to level up with the help of a shady dark elf named Yanaak, whom he secretly plans to betray once he's stronger. Back with Light's group, they've easily reached the 3rd floor, collected some magic gems as proof of their progress, and decide to head back for the day. Using Light's powers, they return to the 1st floor in an instant. As they walk towards the exit, they see the friendly party from the morning fighting goblins. The party is focused on the monsters in front and fails to notice a bush snake sneaking up on their female mage, Mia. Gold instantly intervenes, killing the snake just in time. The party is incredibly grateful, realizing Mia would have been paralyzed and they would have been distracted. Just as they're thanking them, Nemumu senses an approaching enemy. A pack of great bush wolves appears, but they seem to avoid Light's group entirely. The real threat then emerges from the shadows, a colossal 4-scythe mantis, a monster far too powerful for anyone there to handle, leaving everyone frozen in terror.